Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to wherever you may be from around the world. This is Arjuna coming at you with another subliminal video. This video is on a subliminal called Ultimate Monetary Success. It is created by Indigo Mind Labs, which is the company, and the actual individual producer is Shannon L. Madison of that company, Indigo Mind Labs, along with a couple other people on their team. The subliminal is something that I've been using very discreetly over the past 6.5 months to 7 months after receiving a few suggestions here and there by a few people that follow subliminals and follow my channels. They recommended that I start running it because it is in line with a lot of the things that I focus on in my day-to-day life. You know, the things like success, money, financials, and all that nonsense, you know, things that every human being wants. I feel like it is something that everybody wants, and you know, it had a hefty price tag. It had a price tag of about $115, and I'm totally cool with spending that kind of money on subliminals, especially one that's going to is like an investment. When it comes to some dollar amount investment that has a potential of earning more than what that is, it has a potential for earning you more than what it costs. I think that's a good investment. I paid $115 for it, and even if I made $116 from it in total, which gives me a $1 profit, it's worth it. It's worth it because I can keep using it and I can keep earning my keep back over and over and over again. It's a one-time investment that pays back over time. And that's kind of the mentality that I have with all types of investing, with all types of personal development and self-improvement. If I improve just a tiny little bit, it was worth it because I can compound that tiny improvement, compound itself on itself over and over and over and over and over and over again. And in the end result, it would be exponential growth from the moment of where I started, compared to going at a steady pace and just growing normally over time, which is still good, which everybody should do still. There's that slight distinction of growing exponentially that really sticks out to me. So, like I said, this is a heavy price tag, right? And it is a company that I've had experience with before. I've run multiple subliminals by this company, and I had good experience with most of them. Almost all of them, but there are some that I have not had that great of experience with. So, when it comes to $115 financial subliminal, right? I've had success with a few other financial subliminals before, especially the ones from Subliminal Club, but unfortunately the one I've used in the past from Subliminal Shop, I had not had that much success with. It was kind of cool, to say the least, but I think it was missing some fundamental aspects of it that it needed to tie it together. The first one I used by Subliminal Shop was called Become a Successful Entrepreneur, 5G. And that was a $500 program. I dropped a good chunk of money on it, but I used maybe 3 months. I used it for maybe 3 months, and I didn't honestly really see any success from it. So I kind of dropped out of it. Actually, it wasn't 3 months, it was 4 months. I remember going all the way to stage 4. And by the time I got to stage 4, I got distracted by a shiny new subliminal called Develop Maximum Sexual Irresistibility. This was DMSI. And it was all the rage at that time. So it just came out, and like I was watching all these people on the forums going onto that subliminal, and I was watching how exciting that is, because if you were part of that forum and if you were watching what other people were experiencing during that time, it really made you want to go to that subliminal from whatever one you were on. So that's one of the things that I consider myself to have not been very steadfast in my beliefs and my developments, because I was so quick to change my path from success to attraction. And that's like, I wasn't anchored in very solidly. But anyway, let me talk about ultimate monetary success. Yeah, like I said, that previous subliminal by Indigo Mind Labs, I did not have very much success with, but this one, believe it or not, I had incredible success. I had insane success. I started it in about August of 2019. No, let me take that back. I just looked it up earlier. I started July 23rd, 2019. So I'm coming up on about 10 months, almost 11 months of that subliminal. And it's something that I made a commitment to myself this time. I told myself, I'm going to run this success subliminal by Indigo Mind Labs, and I'm just going to run it till I die. Not till I die, but I'm just going to like ride the wave until eternity or whatever. Funny, because if you know me on Subliminal Talk forums, that's my name, Eternity. So if you want to check me out on there, you can. I don't really post there anymore, but I know I get a lot of people asking me who I am on that forum. Eternity is my username. So I've been running this for about 10 months. At first, I didn't really see much results. And the way I used it was I used it one loop In other words, like you hit the play button once, listen to it for one track. You listen to the track once, and you can't leave the room, or you can't leave the headphones can't be unplugged from your ear at any time, or if you're listening to it on speakers, you can't interrupt that with a phone call. You can't interrupt that by leaving the room. You can't interrupt it at any point. It has to be a one solid playthrough with no interruptions. And that's what I did. I played that as much as I could for maybe a month and a half to 2 months. I think I was using it once every 3 days. I am of the school of thought, and I've actually developed my own cycle when it comes to listening to Subliminal Shop's newer subliminals. They are 5.5G, and they have a new kind of scripting technology that means that makes it so that you listen to it once and then you have a lot of time of rest. You listen to it once and then you have a lot of time of rest. And I kind of pioneered that when I was listening to DMSI at one point. I found the best results. Instead of playing it one playlist every day, every 24 hours, instead of that, I would do one playlist every 36 hours. So I would go in the morning, play my loops, and then I would go all the way until the next morning, and then till that night is when I would hit the play button again. So that gave me 36 hours. And then after that, I went the whole next day, whole next night, and then the next morning after that, I would listen to it again, another 36 hours. And because of that, I had my experience, because Subliminals are just growing stronger and stronger and stronger. And the way that it's working is the way that the technology that the creator decided to take it is to have it such that there's a wasp out here. The subliminal creator wanted to take it in the direction of letting your subconscious mind do all the work while you're not listening to it. And that's kind of cool, because the subconscious mind is very powerful. But if the subconscious mind is constantly receiving input, it's being bombarded with input, it's not having time to execute that input. So what the Subliminal Shop creator did was he made the subliminal such that you play it and then you let yourself rest and don't play it, and your mind is playing back the instructions in your head over and over and over again, because it's penetrated the depths of your subconscious. So because of that ideology, Subliminal Shop, Subliminal called Ultimate Monetary Success, I listened to it once every couple days. One loop every couple days. And it was very, very low listening usage. So I was being conservative on that. I was trying to test it, you know. I don't remember what exactly instructions he had mentioned, but I specifically did not follow those instructions. Felt like since the subliminals have grown to the point where it guides you into what your best usage pattern is, I felt guided that once every 3 days or so was my best usage. And I used that for a few days. And you know, I saw on the website, on the forum, I saw a lot of people who were getting massive results right then and there. Like I saw that this guy got a new bike, a bicycle or a motorcycle, I can't remember, and that was within a week of listening. And then there was other people who were like having some major success with finances, like winning lotteries and like winning all these other things. Like it kind of, I started looking at my life, you know, I was looking a close examination of my life, and I thought, I'm not seeing any of this shit. So, and that kind of discouraged me at first, but I have this steadfastness finally. I was anchored in my desire to succeed financially. I stuck through it. I didn't see much results for the first 3 months, 4 months, and it wasn't until the fourth or fifth month or so that I started noticing that some things were starting to change. Some things were definitely starting to change. If you know me from my previous videos, you know who I am outside of these YouTube channels. I am a C-level executive at a marketing company down here in Houston. And I have been recently granted that title because the company is finally growing enough to where it can even have C-level executives. So it's a small to mid-sized company that I've been climbing up the corporate ladder like fast. And I have this desire to run this company, and this was how I was even brought into the company, is to eventually oversee it in the future. A few years ago, but fast forward to now, I'm really straight up growing through the ranks because I want to. I find that my passion. This is something that I look forward to in life, something that I really want to do. And because I have that desire, it made me so much more entrenched in my work, in my passion. So I find it a hobby. And you know, this subliminal, it may have seemed like it wasn't really working in the background, but I think it was all along. And it was when it was in that 4 to 5 month window when I recognized what it was actually doing in the background. So there's a lot of aspects in the subliminal. If you look in the product page description, there's like 80 to 100 different bullet points of things that it can do. And some of those, like what I like to do every once in a while with Subliminal Shop subliminals is I read through all the bullet points on the product page and I try to see if I'm experiencing it at that moment in time. And what I started seeing was that at that time I did start to experience a lot of the things in on that bullet point list. And it's kind of crazy because some of the things, it's so minute. It's not actual money in your hand type results. It's mental results. And these mental frameworks is what's important for you to actually experience real results. Like, if you're not mentally prepared to have a wealthy fortune, you're not going to actually be able to use that wealthy fortune that you amass. They have to go hand in hand. You have to have a sharp mind. Your mind has to be sharpened like an axe. You have to spend some time training yourself to be able to understand wealth, to be able to hold wealth, and to be able to maintain wealth. And I'm not saying that I'm rich by any means, because I'm not, but I am well on my way to where I want to be. And I don't think it's solely because of the subliminal, because it's who I am. Like I told you before, I wanted this position in this company, and I wanted to grow the company because it's something that I love to do. So let's talk about it a little bit more, right? I'm not having these financial money in my pocket deals, but I'm looking at the stock market. At this point, I've invested like $2,000 in the stock market. I've invested maybe $300 to $400 in Bitcoin and Ethereum and stuff like that, and I've lost a little bit, but then I gained a lot more. There are some things that I've lost that I just completely forgot about, in the sense that I turned that loss into the back of my mind, but I kept a small tidbit of it because I remember exactly why I even got into that loss. It's because I didn't do my research. I jumped on a bandwagon stock, and I thought that I was going to get rich quick, and I thought that this was going to be my ticket to big time wealth. Sure enough, it was a hoax. Not really a hoax, okay? It's like it's this big, shiny, elaborate thing that everybody follows because they think that it's going to get them to wealth, and it sounds great in theory, and like it really did. Like the HMNY, which is a parent company of MoviePass, last year or 2 years ago, I invested pretty heavily in that and lost. Last year, I got into ACB, or Aurora Cannabis stock, and I got into that. I dropped like $400, $500 in that, and now it's worth pennies. I dropped it at like $5 a share, $6 a share, $9 a share. Then it kept dropping down to $3, $2, and I kept buying in to increase my position. Now it's worth pennies, and it's like I just watched my money disappear. But you know what I learned is a very, very valuable lesson, and I think part of that is due to the Subliminal shops. Subliminal, it helped me learn what exactly I need to look out for, and you can best bet I will not make that mistake a third time, because I am 100% sure I have learned my lesson. Now I take all my time and thoroughly research every single company that I invest in, and to this day I've invested in quite a few, maybe like 10 to 15 companies, maybe at one stock each, or maybe at 3 stocks, maybe 4 maximum. But in these companies I really have faith. Like some of the ones that I've invested in most recently is T-Mobile. They recently had a T-Mobile merger with Sprint, and I've been following their path to 5G, and it's pretty exciting, man. Like I have a T-Mobile phone. I've been a T-Mobile customer for 6 years, and I'm about to be on my own phone plan, not on my family plan anymore, and I'm probably going to go right to T-Mobile again. I just like that company. I really like that company. I like what they do, and I looked online and their future plans, and they're trying to do 5G internet in 2022, and I think that could be a really big deal, because when that 5G technology is fully immersed in society, it's going to be really useful, and it's going to be home internet. And I will be one of the first people, I promise, I will be one of the first customers to receive that 5G T-Mobile internet, as soon as I can anyway, because I think it's just going to be a really awesome fast technology speed. See, these are that's the type of company that I believe in, and I think is going to be worth my investment. So I invested in 4 shares. Another stock is like Microsoft. I see Microsoft as being badass. I love the Xbox system. I love Windows. I've been using Windows since I was like 4 or 5 years old. Well, actually, I take that back. When I was 4 or 5 years old, I was using MS-DOS based computer. But MS-DOS is Microsoft DOS. So I've been using Microsoft and Xbox and all that stuff since I was a little kid. And this is a company that I really have faith in. So I dropped a couple shares in that. And these are expensive shares, but I think that company's going to grow and keep growing and keep growing. So these are the kinds of things that I started learning by those failures in ACB and HMNY. And I think it's very important that I had this constant subliminal instruction going through my mind at all times, because it was telling me and it was guiding me into the right frame of mind to be able to learn these things from the mistakes that I made in the past. That's not to say I wouldn't have learned them without the subliminal, because I definitely would have learned them without the subliminal. It's just that having that extra layer of subconscious programming is definitely helpful. So that's this. We're in like 4 or 5 months ago, right? And this is the time when I was starting to see mostly mental results and mostly internal results. So I made a commitment to myself that I was just gonna stick this subliminal out till the end as much as I can. So I keep listening it. I keep listening. I sometimes increased my listening usage to 3 loops. I think it was around that point that I started increasing it to 3 loops. And I didn't keep any strict schedule. I didn't have a 1 day on, 3 days off, 1 day on, 3 days off, things like that. I know that the subliminal kind of recommends that, but I just completely forgot about it. And every night or every other night, whenever I would remember, I just turned on the subliminal, hit my playlist, and play it, and it would play 3 loops while I slept. And it was just on my phone, so it wasn't anything fancy. I didn't have a badass speaker system. I didn't have badass sleep phones and stuff like that, because I wanted to expose my girlfriend to it as well, so we can both benefit from this subliminal. So we're listening to this every day, and we had already moved in together like 6 months ago. So by this point, at 5 months, we're listening to this subliminal together, and we both work together, so we both experience some pretty positive results at work, and the company is starting to grow, and it's really starting to materialize into something badass. Like, we started seeing rushes that we were having in sales, and these sales were becoming so hot and so in high demand that we kind of fell forward flat on our face, because we had such a spike in sales that we couldn't keep up with the demand. So we had a lot of pissed off customers, and it really sucked, man, because a lot of customers were angry at us for not being able to produce their orders. And I'm not happy at all, because I feel for my customers. I wish the best for my customers, and I appreciate the fact that they drop hundreds of dollars with us at any given time in their trust to get the job done, because that's what we do. But some of them, we just failed them, and it kind of sucks, like, knowing that these customers just walked away with a bad experience. But here's the thing: anything that is a failure is not a failure, because it becomes a lesson. And these lessons are very valuable but expensive lessons. Like the ACB and HMNY, they were really expensive lessons. This is another expensive lesson, and there were a few of them, and many of them. So I've been spending the better part of the last 6 months working to develop systems, to develop processes, and to develop infrastructure to make sure that these things that are happening, the mistakes that are happening, the struggles that we're experiencing, don't happen again. So every time we have an incident, anytime we have a mistake, something that happens bad, we create something to cover that up, to make sure that that never happens again. And this is something that I had to be set in that right mindset. It's to this day, I can get really discouraged if something bad happens, but I have to remember and keep remembering that this stuff is happening because it is really beneficial, and these are lessons. So let's fast forward a little bit. I'm talking so much about all this stuff, and I want to get to the good stuff. We are in February. Let's go to February of this year, 2020. So February 2020, my girlfriend and I, we decided that we want to get a house. We want to buy a house, and this is before the coronavirus pandemic. So this is like a few weeks before. No, it's not before the pandemic. The pandemic was already a thing in China. It wasn't really a thing here in the USA. It was catching on, but it wasn't really like major. So we were going and looking at houses February. I want to say it was the third week of February, and we're looking at houses, and we're really like looking forward to moving, and we're thinking we need to get a down payment, we got to get a loan, we got to get all this stuff, and there's a lot that goes into buying a house. It's insane. Like, it's a full-time job on its own. It's to researching the right house, researching the right mentality, and researching the right loan rates and stuff like that. It would have been easy for us to just drop what we're doing and buy the first house that we saw just to move in, which we almost did. But thankfully, and I think this is a manifestation of the subliminal, we had some badass people on our side. We had 5 incredibly valuable assets that are team members on our team, like on our side, that helped us really get the best fucking house that's ever possible, like that we think is possible. We got our dream house, and I'm just going to tell you how we got this, okay? So this is February. February is going on. We're looking at houses, we're looking at mortgage, and it just so happens that when I posted on my Facebook page, I was looking for a realtor, because in my mind, if there are my friends that are looking for a service that I provide, I would really want them to use me. So likewise, I asked on my Facebook page, hey, is there anybody who is a real estate agent? Any of my friends who is a real estate agent? I got a bunch of requests, but I also got one of my friends who said he was a mortgage broker. And he was a mortgage broker, and he messaged me and he's like, hey man, I would love to take care of the financing from your house. And this is something I didn't even recognize it was a thing, you know? Like, I thought it was just you go buy the house. I forgot that there's a whole mortgage aspect to this. But he hit me up, and I was like, okay. So I called him. I was like, hey man, what do you think? How do you think I can get the best deal? And like this and that. And I'm just trying to focus on getting the best deal because this is a 30-year commitment, my financial commitment. And he's like, trust me, I got you the best deal. I'm a broker. I'm not an officer. I'm not a mortgage officer. I'm a broker. So because of that, I'll shop around for the best deal, and I'll make sure you get the best deal. I'll also give you the friend discount as well. So I was like, okay, that's music to my ears. So I was like, let's do this. So I go along with him, but I ended up not getting a real estate agent. I thought to myself, based on my mom's suggestion, that I could go and do agent without an agent and get that 3% back. So I went around and tried to get houses, and we got pretty far and we got to one contract on a house, and we were about to sign that contract, but the mortgage officer was like, hey man, they didn't include that 3%. They you know how you're trying to save that 3% by not using an agent? You're not getting it. So because he saw that, he referred me to his buddy who was a real estate agent and put me into the equation to make sure that we get that 3% back. So once the other seller's real estate agent found out that we have an agent on our side, she was like, okay, I'm not working with you anymore. So what she was trying to do is she was trying to keep all 6% to herself of the commission, because the seller's agent gets 3% and the buyer's agent gets 3%. We're going without an agent, so she was thinking that she was going to get all 6. The contract didn't have us saving that 3%. So he hits her up, and that deal fell through. So we're no longer using her, but based on the conditions that we use with the realtor, he is now our realtor. So he helps us look around for the house, and he fucking finds us the best deal of this house that we wanted. Like the very first house that we saw that we really wanted before we even had a mortgage in place, that ended up being on the market. So we let him know, like, we don't have to look at any more houses, man. Like, this is the house we want. We want to go see this without a real estate agent when we were shopping around, but it got into contract by the time we got the mortgage approved. So when it comes time to looking at the house, we found a house. We're like, we don't need any more of this stuff. So the rate that we got is something that's insane. My mortgage officer, or my mortgage broker friend, said that he's never given a mortgage out that low in his life, and that was 2.96%. And I'm thinking to myself, like, 3.5. And considering that I would have been okay with 3.5, and when I heard 2.9, I was like, are you shitting me? Are you really shitting me? Like, I got approved for 2.9. I have no credit. Well, I have good credit, but I only have one trade line, one credit card under my name. So I was thinking, like, this is insane. I qualified for this massive house. It's not massive, it's big to me, okay? This giant house that I get to move into, and I can call it all to myself and my girlfriend, and we got a 2.9%. And he was like, man, I've never seen a rate that low, but I'm gonna lock you in for it. I'm gonna lock you in. So to this day, he is thinking to himself, like, he wears this as a badge of honor, like he's given his friend a 2.96% interest rate. So I was like, man, you weren't kidding when you said you were giving me the friend hookup. And I'm pretty sure the Subliminal had a part to play in it, because I've been using this Subliminal for so long, and this is one of the biggest investments that any human being can make in America. A house. It's a 30-year commitment. It takes 30 years to pay this dang loan off. So the less interest that you have to pay, the more house you get for your money. So I was thrilled. I was incredibly thrilled. So that was the hard part out of the way, the mortgage part. But then the next hard part came along, and that I had to come up with a down payment. And you need like $10,000, $7,000 to buy a house. You need 7%. So I'm thinking to myself, where am I going to come up with this money? I only have like 2.5K saved up. So I'm trying to figure it out, and the real estate agent that we're working with is like, here, I got an idea. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go into this house. We're going to offer this crazy offer. It's a good deal for both parties, but it's really more on our favor. Like, we had the hugest advantage in the transaction. So what he did was he asked the seller to provide like $10,000 in seller's contributions. So what that means is that the seller, the person who is selling the house, is giving a lot of the money off the top of what they receive at the end of the transaction, is going right back to us, the buyers, because that $10,000 or so is going straight into the down payment. So we're walking into closing without having to pay much down payment. That's a crazy deal. That's an insane deal. Like, we were thinking we don't even have enough down payment to pay this, so where are we going to get this money from? Well, all of a sudden we get that, and then right around the same time, I have a close friend of mine, a very, very close friend, who said, "You need help with your mortgage?" And I was like, "Man, I think the real estate agent got us under control. Like, he's got us in seller contribution." He was like, "Hold on, I got you. I'm gonna give you a loan, interest free." And he wrote me a check right there on the spot for $7,000. And this is a close friend of mine. I was like about to pass out. I was like, "Are you serious, man? I can't accept this from you. Like, why are you doing this?" And he's like, "Man, we've been really good friends for a long time. I know you're gonna get me back. I know you're good for it. So here's the $7,000. Use this for your moving expenses. Use this for anything like that, and we'll work out the repayment in a different way at some other time. Don't worry about it. Just get yourself into that house. Every day that you spend outside of your own brand new house is a day that you have to live without something to call your own." So I was thrilled, man. Okay, so that's 3 different things right there, back to back to back. 1 is the mortgage rate, 2.96%. 2, the real estate agent gets us in seller contribution, so we don't have to put that much down payment. 3, through $7,000 in as a check, and all this played in such good harmony that it allowed us to buy this house. And we're actually going to close on Tuesday. I wouldn't be making this video unless I got that clear to close thing, because I didn't want to put some bad juju out into the atmosphere, into the universe, and get somebody to give their bad energy and like make this whole deal go south. But we officially got that clear to close statement from the mortgage company, and we're going to close this house on Tuesday, and we're moving in Wednesday. So this is one of the best things, man. Like, I'm seriously thinking that this has a lot to do with the subliminal, because those 3 things that I mentioned is such crazy things that happened in back-to-back sequence. That kind of stuff I don't think would have happened regularly without the subliminal. But the subliminal allowed me to, both of us actually, because we were both listening to the subliminal every night, and it allowed us to receive the biggest blessings financially from the universe that could possibly have come to us. So not only that, we're shopping for electricity, right? Because you need power in your new house, any new house. We got the best rate that we've seen, that anybody has seen in a residential rate, and that's like 6.8 cents per kilowatts hours per kWh. And everything else that I've been seeing was like 9 cents, 10 cents, sometimes even 7.5, but we got 6.8. So that was insane. Like, man, this is just so crazy. Like, this subliminal is attracting so much wealth to us in every single angle. And it went like such a smooth transaction for this mortgage that I think the subliminal had so much in part to do with that. So what I'm trying to get at is, like, this subliminal, I've been using it by this point, by February, March, and April. February was like 7 months. March was 8 months. April was 9 months. So, like, I don't know. I'm gonna keep using the subliminal because I think there's so much more benefits to be got from the subliminal. There's like so much that I can get, and this is just yet to begin. This whole thing at work that I'm trying to build, this company, there's a lot to build. Like, the company has just hit its first million this year, of this year. So in the past, the first time we ever hit $1 million in a year was in October. The second time was last year, was July. I think it was July. This year we hit our first $1 million of the year in April. So we are on the track to success, and I think that as long as I keep listening to the subliminal and keep things on the forefront of my mind, this wealth and financial building stuff, I think I think life's gonna be good, man. So this is a $115 investment that I think is very well worth your money. Go out and buy it. Peace out, guys.